In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make essence and blend your Rooibos tea. You will need the following pieces of equipment. You'll need Rooibos tea. We'll need bottles for your essence. The size of the bottles is purely up to you. In this case, we're using small little bottles because I like the small bottle because it doesn't go to waste. You need a peeler with a serrated edge. The smooth peelers won't work because it's peeling you too thick. You need an airbrush with a propellant. You can use a propellant in a canister or a normal compressor. You need some labels to label your bottles of essence with a date and time on it. You need a sterilizing liquid. Any baby bottle liquid will do. You need a canister, any form of canister for the tea, but it has to have a hole on the top to insert the airbrush. You need a dehydrator. Again, this is you can use any form of dehydrator that you choose. You need a dropper between 1 and 5 mils. Then you need some cinnamon sticks. Freshly, the fresher the better. You need some orange peels, the ones that you dried. And then the following is, when you peel the orange, you can see that the peeler has got a serrated edge. And the reason for this is it takes off the top layer of the skin. And you will leave the white part. You see, it's only the top layer, and you leave the white part on the orange because that part is the part that will make your tea bitter. So you want to avoid having that. And you go ahead, you go along and you peel the orange completely. Take off all the skin because these are the peels that you're going to put into the dehydrator and you will dry it. Okay, next you sterilize your equipment. Firstly, the ones we start with first are the bottles to make the essence. Now again, your sterilizing liquid it depends on the liquid itself, what you're using, the amount that you put into the water to sterilize your equipment. After sterilizing the bottles, you can put the label on, and then on this label you're going to write the time and the day that you made it. Next, you're going to fill up the bottles with the orange peel. You start with the orange first, and then after that you do the cinnamon. So you fill up the bottle with the peels to as much as you want, preferably completely full. Then you pour some vodka into it, or any other form of alcohol. Some people actually use some spice like rum, but a plain simple alcohol like vodka will work. If you don't want to use alcohol, you can use some glucose, but for the purpose of this video we're using some vodka. Next, you can put your cinnamon sticks and do exactly the same with the cinnamon sticks. Now this has got to stand between 3 and 8 weeks, depending on the strength of the essence that you want. Fill up the bottle with as much essence depending on how much flavor you actually want. But obviously the stronger the essence, the less you're going to use in your dropper to flavor your tea with. Then you fill it up with vodka. Close it up, and then you can give it a shake just to activate the flavors. You take it and you label the bottle, and on that label you will write once again the date and time that you made the essence. Shake and you put it away. Next, you take your dehydrator and you take the peels that you've taken off from the orange and you put it into the dehydrator. And depending on the type of dehydrator that you use, it's going to take about between 3 and 8 hours. For this particular one, that takes about between 4 and 5 hours to dry the peel. It also depends on the type of orange that you use. Now this is afterwards, it's a dried peel. Now with the peels itself, you don't want it to be too dry. It must be pliable, but yet also dry enough so it's dry to put into the tea, so it's preserved, but also pliable enough to release all the flavors of the skin itself. And next you take the orange peels and you break it into about 1 centimeter pieces. I found that the 1 centimeter pieces work very well, especially in strainers, because you don't get all those little small bits going through your strainer and into your tea, which you don't want. And you do the same with the cinnamon sticks, and especially with the cinnamon, because it gives off a very, very fine pieces and powder, and that tends to go into your tea if it's too fine. So 1 centimeter pieces, once again, is big enough. After this is what the blend looks like with a cinnamon tea. I use preferably about 3 tablespoons of each for about 100 grams of tea. So next you sterilize your airbrush bottle. Once again, I can't stress enough the importance of sterilizing your equipment, because you don't want any bacteria to damage or to spoil your mixture that you went through all the trouble of making up to now. An airbrush is especially important. You can strip the whole thing apart, or you can lie it as what I'm doing. The water still goes into the airbrush, and then you can take it out and you can fill the bottle with a little bit of the water with the sterilizing liquid in it. And what I do is I take it and I spray it through the airbrush, and that cleans up everything inside the airbrush and sterilizes the inside as well, and also cleans out a little bit of residue from previously flavoring if you use other flavors. Next you take 1 to 5 mils of the essence, depending on your taste, what you would like, and you have to play around with this because everybody's taste is different. Screw the bottle back onto the airbrush, and you place the airbrush into the hole of the canister, and then you start spraying the tea. And the reason why you use an airbrush and not a spray bottle or a teaspoon just to throw it into the tea is when you use an airbrush, the vapor is very fine, so you coat the tea leaves inside the canister a lot more efficiently than you would otherwise. You can close it, you can give it a shake, and then if you want to, you can spray some more. Otherwise, you take the next, you do the same with the cinnamon and with the orange essence, and you will sit with a fantastic flavor and some beautiful color of the tea. Next you take the cinnamon and orange blend, and then you pour it into the tea leaves, close up the lid, you give it a good shake, and it's preferably to have the tea stand for at least about a week for the flavors to properly infuse into the tea leaves. And once that's done, when you mix that up, you sit with this beautiful color, and the smell that comes out of that is just fantastic. Now, to make a cup of tea, you take about a tablespoon of your blend and you put it into a strainer. Now, I like to use the glass strainer because it's got very fine slits in the sieve or in the strainer itself. Now, it's important with Rooibos tea, it must steep for about 6 minutes to get the proper flavors out of it. Now, if you pour, this is one way of making it. You can pour your hot water into the strainer itself and let it seep through, which will take about 6 minutes to fill up the pot. And as you can see, the fine slits in the glass itself will allow your tea to seep through very slowly and give you that wonderful taste. So you can let it run through like this for about, and like I said, it'll take you about 6 minutes to fill up the pot. You have this fantastic color. Now and you can keep on filling it up with water until the pot is filled with the tea. Or you can fill up the pot with hot water. And then you can put the strainer back into the pot and leave it for 6 minutes. But after 6 minutes, very important, you need to take the strainer out of the pot. Because if you leave it in too long, it is going to make your tea too strong. And that's got a big role to play on the flavor of it. After you've done that, you can put it on a warmer, as you see there with the candle, which will keep your tea warm up to 8 hours. And there's your perfect cup of Rooibos tea.